Welcome to Smackie's Garage. Today we're going to do a comparison of the KYB gas adjust to the KYB ExcelG shocks. A few weeks ago I took out my KYB gas adjust that had just over 1,000 miles on them to replace them with the KYB ExcelG shocks. Now the reason why I did it was to get a little bit of a softer ride, and we're going to have to check that out. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the car for a drive. We're going to go around the area, we'll take it through a few different conditions. While we're driving, we'll talk about kind of the difference in performance in the shocks. Then we'll come back here and we'll talk about which is best for which situation and which one may work best for you. I think they're both great products. The only question is which one is going to work best in your application. Okay, here we go. So on the old car, I have a vacuum pump for the brakes. It has a large cam, so it does not make much vacuum. Now, if you know the story, I've had both the KYB, ExcelG, as well as the gas adjust in my car. I originally started out with the gas adjust. You know, I picked them up off the shelf. It seemed like the high performance option, and I put them in. So we'll go for a quick drive, then we'll talk about the performance difference between them, what I've noticed in a car like this, and what I think is causing that performance difference. So let's go. So right off the bat, when you're driving the car, you notice that the exhaust is covering up kind of my voice. Sorry if you can't hear it. It could be a little bit hard. Might add a voiceover later. It's a nice day for a drive. It's going to be 90 degrees out, but we're still early in the morning, so the temperature is good. So we'll come to an idle up here and we'll stop. The first thing I noticed when driving the car is it's much smoother with the ExcelGs rather than a gas adjust. That's an old truck. Now, one of the things that I noticed in the corners is you get a little bit more leaning with these shocks. Now, the KYB gas adjust, they're designed to be more of a high pressure shock, while the ExcelG is designed to be more of an OEM replacement. Now, the big difference there is when you have a higher pressure shock, it's going to be harder to compress initially. So with that harder compression, lighter weight vehicles are more difficult to get to fully compress, or else it'll be more stiff. So if you're running a car like this, one of the things that I noticed, at least for me, it was a little bit too stiff for my liking. Right now I'm running the ExcelG shocks on it, and it's so much of a better ride than the gas adjust on this specific car. Also, let me know how much you like this new camera mount shot. I like it. I just need to figure out the audio a little bit more, because I can see I'm yelling a lot more trying to get over the exhaust. One of the biggest benefits that I'm seeing with the ExcelG shock is when we start hitting bumps on the road, the entire car doesn't feel like it's going to rattle apart, because it's softer. The ride it's not as stiff as the gas adjust shocks were. You can hear the rattling inside the car still, but it is nothing like it was when I was running the gas adjust shocks. So I'm really happy with the decision to change. You know, one of the things that you might notice is where I live out in Massachusetts, you get a lot of snow, the roads get torn up, you have giant potholes, and some of them are taken care of well, some are not. You know, with them not being taken care of as much, kind of want a softer ride. You know, I have another car if I want to go around corners fast that has that more stiff ride. But you know, for this, I don't hit corners that fast, so not having as stiff a ride and having some body roll is still fine with me. Yeah, so corners like this, you can definitely feel the difference in the shocks, and when you hit the corner a little bit harder, you'll notice the body will roll a little bit more with the ExcelG than it will with the gas adjust, but you know, it's still not bad. But I think one of the biggest things you notice with the different in the car is definitely going to be the immediate bumps from damage in the road, speed bumps, or kind of dips in the road. You know, the immediate difference that you can notice is going to be the bumps in the road. You're going to notice less cracks on the road. You're going to feel them less. All the potholes and everything, you're not going to feel those as much, and it's not going to be as jarring to your back. But it's still going to be an overall good ride. So if I look at it, I'm happy with my decision to go to the ExcelG. And for this car, in this situation, that's exactly what I'm going to stick with. I actually might try the Bilsteins over time. I'm curious to see how they work. But for right now, this works. Now, one of the things with these older cars, it does have AC, or did have AC, but I removed it. So when I'm riding it, if I'm riding on a hot summer day like this where it's going to be 95 degrees, I'm going to be out here driving at 9:30 in the morning rather than trying to drive at noon or 1 o'clock. So you can see roads like this, it's more bumpy, but it's not as jarring with the ExcelG than what it was with the gas adjust shocks. Either one works, don't get me wrong there, but this one is so much more comfortable for me. You can probably see the camera shaking too. Alright, time to head back to the house. We'll talk about where you might want to use one shock versus the other. Let's talk a little bit about where you'd use which shock. So I like the KYB gas adjust if you're going to have a vehicle that's going to be either heavier weight or you want a really stiff ride for going around corners. I like the ExcelG shock if you're looking for something with more of a relaxed ride, or if you're living in an area where there's a lot of potholes and you're going to be being jarred around every time you hit a crack in the road. So with this, I'm happy to use the ExcelG. You know, it'd be good and it'd be interesting to have an adjustable shock to be able to swap out the setting or to change a setting when you want to do different driving styles, but that's not what these are. So with that, I'm really happy with the decision I made to go with the ExcelG. And if you're trying to make the decision between ExcelG and the gas adjust, I would think about kind of what is the weight of your car. I would think about how you're going to be driving it and then where you're going to be driving it to see what's the ride quality you want out of it. Thanks for tuning in today on Smaky's Garage. I'll see you next week.